One of the common themes of the 2020s is that way too many people are way too stressed out. And this definitely isn't going to change anytime soon. Nothing is going to change because a lot of people have legitimate reasons for why they're stressed out. And the stress these people have, it's not going to go away because in the 2020s, our entire society has been designed around creating stress for profit. Executives of powerful companies have realized that it's profitable both to rip people off and to stress them out. And ultimately, the goal of this stress is to get us to try and relieve our stress through other ways that these same people also profit off of. So what's causing this stress? Well, I'd say there's two parts. One of these parts is out of our control, and one of these parts is definitely within our control. First, I'll start with the part that's out of our control, which is that everything is insanely expensive. And this is intentional for several reasons. First of all, these billionaires just want more money. A lot of rich and powerful people find their lives completely meaningless and hate their families, so they pretend that they find meaning from making more money even though they never need to make another dollar to have all they need for the rest of their lives. A lot of these rich people just work 24/7. They never really spent any time with their family or did anything else. They were just working. What I just said is why these companies lie to the public that, oh, we're not making enough money, so we have to raise prices. But every financial report, they just set a new record. It's all about making money because the only reason these people exist is just to make more money. And of course, the downstream effect of that is that people buying the groceries at the grocery store are so insanely stressed out because groceries are so expensive. And on top of that, if someone wants to go to a concert or an NBA game or whatever else, that's way too expensive too. Nowadays, even going to the bar might cost you $100. Everybody is stressed out because everybody can't afford anything anymore. Going to the grocery store should not be a stressful experience. Having a friend ask, hey, do you want to go to this concert? Should not be a stressful experience. But unfortunately, nowadays it is. And all of this stress, all it does is help these piece of crap executives make more money. And the worst part is that a lot of people really do work 40 or more hours a week, but they actually struggle to afford their rent, their groceries, and a good time. But work is ultimately just another component of stress for profit. The amount of people I know who have totally miserable commutes to their miserable job at 25 years old is insane. And the crazy thing is, some of these people are paying just to get to work, whether it's paying for their car, paying the insurance, paying for gas, paying for a parking pass. They pay money just to go to work. And then, on top of that, they pay with their time, wasting 50 plus hours a week at a job where they're not making enough money to afford everything they want. And the thing is, paying with our time also expands to things like rent, groceries, and fun events. People who are currently 25 but can't afford to live with their friends, they're not going to magically get that experience back when they're 35. Nope, that was it. That was the one time they had the opportunity to live with their friends, but they couldn't do it because they couldn't afford it. When a famous music artist is in town or a famous athlete and people can't afford the concert ticket or the sports ticket, that's a time they can't get back. That performer might not be back in the city again, but people can't afford to go to these events. And then ultimately, they're paying with their time because when they're older, they're not going to get that moment back when they were young and that famous person was in town doing a concert. Nope, that was it. And unfortunately, all of this stuff is completely out of our control. We can do nothing about any of this. But there is one main reason everyone is stressed out right now that everyone can control. People choose to use their phones and social media all day, and it is absolutely stressing them out. And the goal of the people stressing them out is to make money from the stress. For the past 10 years, Twitter has just been people above the age of 50 shrieking at the top of their lungs about nonsense. But for some reason, people choose to every day pay attention to the most miserable people on the planet shrieking at the top of their lungs. And of course, these people shrieking, their only goal is to create stress for profit. All of internet politics and mainstream media is creating stress for profit. I could say more, but I know that everyone understands what I mean. But again, for some reason, people voluntarily choose to partake in the stress to help these people get a profit from stressing people out. And in 2026, the number one new way people are creating stress for profit is all of these ridiculous internet beefs. I swear in 2026, basically all of the internet has just been people ages 40 and up behaving like middle schoolers. It's everybody. It's the politics podcast people, the sports podcast people, whatever you want to name, everyone is beefing like a little kid. And of course, the entire goal of these beefs is to get clicks and therefore profit. But for some reason, people choose to just eat up the slop. And with phones, the other factor stressing people out is people feeling like they always have to be available. People are always checking their texts to see if someone texted them, always checking the news to see if some athlete got traded or whatever. They're always not present in the moment, always slightly stressed about something else for no reason. But all of this is in our control. People can choose to stop using their phones and social media 24/7. But regardless of whether it's in our control or out of our control, ultimately the goal is the same: stress for profit. And in the 2020s, there are two new huge parts of life now where the entire point is people are trying to make money off the idea of people relieving their stress. The first one is addictions. Drinking, smoking, gambling. It's all under the premise of, hey, let your stress out, man. Take the edge off and we'll make a ton of money off of it. It's totally insane how gambling, weed, and OnlyFans has just been completely unleashed in the 2020s. Morality all went out the window when rich people realized that they could make even more money. Nowadays, commercials during sports games are pretty much all gambling ads. And typically, the ones that aren't gambling ads are alcohol ads. Oh, and just wait. I bet for years there have been people doing everything in their power to make it legal to run ads for smoking weed and OnlyFans. And if we ever got to a point where it was legal to run ads for that stuff, there would absolutely be as many ads for it as there are for gambling right now. The people who intentionally stressed us out then turn around and run a bunch of ads saying, hey, this is how to take the edge off, man. It's really just setting up all of society so they can make profit off of our stress. And in my opinion, the worst part of stress for profit, and it is not even close, are these garbage medications that people are getting prescribed. I know that falls under the umbrella of addiction, but it's so bad I think it needs a separate part for itself. People who take SSRIs go insane. I know way too many people who I plan to have in my life for a long time. But then they started taking antidepressants, and every time I was around them, all I could think to myself was, oh my God, I need to get away from this person immediately. People take antidepressants, and all of a sudden, their whole MO is, I'm angry, stressed out, and miserable, and I want you to be just as angry, stressed out, and miserable as I am. And ultimately, in my opinion at least, this is the biggest consequence of stress for profit, and it is not even close. If some idiot 22-year-old gambles all the money away in his bank account, it's not really that big of a deal if he has parents who can take care of him. He can just make more money, and as long as he learns his lesson, it's not going to happen again. But people taking antidepressants, completely losing their mind, and losing their friends, stress for profit has wrecked both people's mental health and their relationships. And like I said earlier in the video, we are paying with our time. We are paying with our time spent stressing out about if we can afford rent or groceries or fun events. We pay with the time spent at work not making enough money to actually change anything. We pay by spending our free time gambling, drinking, smoking, doing all of this nonsense. When people take over-the-counter garbage medications and ultimately destroy their friendships, they pay with the time in the future that they do not spend hanging out with those people who would have been there for them, but ultimately are not anymore. We are all paying with our time. Unfortunately, we can't control how expensive rent and groceries and all that stuff is. But people absolutely can control how much they use their phone and social media. People can control whether they gamble or drink or smoke 24/7 and choose doing that by themselves over hanging out with their friends. We can choose whether to take garbage medications. We can choose all of this stuff. It is a choice. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. This has been Weedified. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all in the next video.